Good evening and welcome to News Nation Prime. I'm Marnie Hughes. We start tonight with an exclusive new interview with Brian Laundries' sister, Cassie. As the nationwide manhunt for her brother continues tonight, Cassie came out of her house this afternoon with her husband to ask people protesting on her lawn to leave. And then she answered questions for about 20 minutes. And we're going to play for you some of what she had to say this afternoon. We have spliced together some of the clips for time. Joining me now to talk about all of this and the latest in this case is our correspondent, Brian Enton. He is live right now outside the Laundrie family home in Northport, Florida. Brian, this is the first time we've heard this much from Cassie.
Yeah, Marnie, and I want to be very clear and transparent about what you are about to hear and how we obtained it, because I think that's important, especially in light of other interviews that have come out with Cassie and questions that have surrounded those. This is something that was shot by the protesters. You've seen the protesters night after night in our stories. They come outside Brian Laundries' parents with their bullhorns. Well, today they left here and they went to Cassie Laundries' house, Brian's sister, and they were protesting outside. And something unexpected happened. Cassie and her husband came outside onto the front lawn. They clearly knew they were being recorded because there's several different recordings, and they just started talking. They started talking to the protesters and answering their questions for close to 20 minutes, Marnie.
That's right, Brian. So as we splice these clips together, you're going to hear a number of new things that we have not heard from before. And the silence from this family, no more, hearing for the first time Cassie in a number of weeks since her brother has gone missing. And the investigation into Gabby Petito's death continues. So in this first clip, Cassie addresses her parents who have not spoken since Brian disappeared. She also talks about the family camping trip to Fort DeSoto. That was on September 6th. Let's listen.
And I am losing my parents and my brother and my children's aunt and my future sister-in-law on top of this, and you're not helping.
Why your parents? Why your parents? You're talking about Christmas.
They're not talking to us either.
Why aren't they talking to you guys?
If I knew, I would say. I don't know.
Do you think they're involved, your parents?
I don't know. At Fort DeSoto on the 6th, we got there at around 2 o'clock, and we left around 8 because the kids had school the next day.
On the 6th?
On the 6th. We only stayed for about 6 hours.
Who was there?
My mom, my dad, my brother. We had s'mores, we had dinner.
What did Brian say anything about Gabby?
We had our kids there. Nothing came up.
He didn't say anything about Gabby?
No, we've told the FBI everything.
Did Brian go?
The world does not need to know what the FBI knows.
All right, so a couple key points there, Brian. As you heard, they were asked, do you think that your parents are involved? And she said, I don't know. She also talked about that September 6th, Fort DeSoto camping with the family. She said they were there about 6 hours. And she said at that point, she did not know that Gabby was missing. Based on the timeline, you have been on this case since the very, very beginning. What stands out to you about what Cassie shared?
Well, let's just go to the headline here because I couldn't believe it when I heard it. She was asked, are your parents involved? And she said, I don't know. She didn't say no. She said, I don't know. And she said that she has not been in touch with her parents. So obviously there is division within this family right now. People were thinking maybe they were all on the same page. If she's telling the truth, there's division within the family right now. And she said it in her own words. She doesn't know whether her parents are involved and whether or not they know where Brian Laundrie is right now.
She also said, Brian, she said, I've lost my brother and my parents. Why your parents? Because they're not talking to us. I'm not talking to my parents. And then do you think they're involved? She doesn't know. Let's play this next clip for you. Cassie talks about the day Brian showed up at her house. Now, this was back on September 1st when she found out Gabby was missing, and also why she has been silent so far.
So when he came here September 1st, right? You said he came, what did he come here for?
My parents wanted to surprise the kids to pick them up at school. I did not know that Brian was with them when we had previously planned to hang out with them. This is not what we want to be doing. This is not how we want the world to find out when we're angry and upset. But I can't have my kids be crying for 3 days in a row.
What did the FBI take out of the house here? Like what?
Nothing.
They came here though.
Yes.
During.
We met with them multiple times.
You met with them multiple times. Okay. Did they ask you for like polygraphs or anything like that?
No. But
no.
So not asked about a polygraph. She said, my parents surprised me with the kids. Brian showed up. She didn't know that he was coming. What do you make of what she shared there, Brian?
Well, it's interesting. She's claiming that her parents came to her house and that she didn't know Brian Laundrie was going to be there back on September 1st. But remember, when she first did the interview with ABC News, which was short and not really a full interview, and there were a lot of questions about that, ABC News reported that she had said she hadn't seen Brian since he returned to Florida. So we were interested when we had our exclusive reporting on Friday that she had, in fact, seen Brian at her house on September 1st. Now this new nugget, she's claiming that she just thought her parents were coming and that Brian wasn't going to be there.
Brian, this next clip that we're going to share with folks at home is one of the more surprising, and I watched all 20 minutes. Let's listen now to Cassie describe the attorney for Brian Laundrie, her brother, and also she is asked if she thinks that Brian killed Gabby.
The media ended up misconstruing what I said when they asked me if I had seen my brother. Like I said in the beginning, they didn't say, have you seen Brian? It was, what's the weirdest thing about this all? It was, I haven't been able to speak to my brother. I tried to contact him after this. I tried to contact my family after this. I hadn't been able to speak to my brother.
Do you know about any additional burner phones?
I have no idea.
So you don't know nothing?
I do think that was the wrong clip, but we've got a few clips to share with you, so I think we'll get to it. But Brian, one thing that she said is in relation to the attorney for Brian Laundrie, she said, my parents' lawyer screwed me over. I'm livid, and I'm not talking to him. And then when asked, did Brian kill Gabby? She said, I don't know.
Again, I mean, these I don't knows are really, really telling. She's not standing there saying, my brother would never do this. I love my brother. There's no way. I mean, she's giving these I don't know answers. And I think that's really significant.
Right. The other thing that she said in a portion of this interview, she said, I wasn't ignoring Mr. Petito's phone call. I think there had been some questions about whether or not Mr. Petito, Gabby's dad, was reaching out to the Laundrie family asking for help. Can you glean some clarity into those conversations or any interaction between these two families when Gabby was still missing?
So what we know, Marnie, is early on in all of this, when Brian returned here to Florida without Gabby in Gabby's van, obviously Gabby's parents became extremely concerned. And according to her parents, they were reaching out to the Laundrie family, mainly to the parents behind me, basically begging for any information. And according to Gabby's parents, they were being flat out ignored. They were texting. They were not even getting responses to their text messages, which they found to be very, very strange considering Gabby was Brian's fiance. Why would the family suddenly be ignoring them? And that's what sparked them to initially call police.
Another couple things that Cassie said. She said, I'm upset. I've been silent because the FBI told me to. Let's listen to another clip here.
Have you ever seen Brian hit Gabby?
No.
Have you ever seen him fight?
No.
Have you ever seen him hit any woman?
No, I've never seen him be
Domestic
abusive
violence,
or
right?
angry
You-
in anything. No.
You know that we talked to neighbors. We canvassed your parents' neighborhood.
Yeah.
They've heard screams coming out of your parents' house on multiple occasions.
Your parents' home.
I
Screams.
don't know what to tell you about
Might have been
that.
our kids. We lived there for a year.
Oh, you lived at the home in Wabasso?
Yeah,
Gabby
when
and
they-
Brian lived with us.
when they were in New York.
And you've never seen him fight? No argue? No?
Of course, you know, we bicker,
nothing-
everybody bickers, but nothing like what no domestic anything.
domestic violence.
No,
No.
yes, or else we would have done something about it.
Right.
Like, I don't stand for that. I was in a bad relationship similar to that what's saying has happened. I wouldn't let that happen. We're
Not the evil monsters were made out to be.
We're not the monsters we're being made out to be. Brian, she also was asked a few questions about her own relationship with her brother. That's not a clip, I'm just telling you.
Oh,
you hear me?
Thanks. Yeah, I was waiting to hear it.
No.
Yeah, I hear you. Sorry, Marnie. Yeah. I don't think, I mean, we did get this video like 30 minutes ago,
Yes.
so we're all just sort of absorbing. I'm just listening so carefully because these are like nuggets that we've never heard before.
Right.
But that was interesting to hear Cassie explain what so many others have said, that she did not see any signs of domestic violence with Brian and Gabby, that she says that that was all news to her, which is really consistent with what we've heard from family members on both sides.
She also said she's not close to her brother. They're 8 or 9 years apart. It didn't sound like they lived together, and she doesn't speak to him often. So the fact that she saw him twice in the last few weeks in this very tumultuous time for their family is interesting. All right, we do have another clip. Stand by, Brian. Let's take a listen.
I'm in the boat where I'm getting ignored by my family and thrown under the bus by my family's attorney.
Why would he do that? Like, why?
Protect his client because she's not their client.
So I'm just as mad.
Did they have a storage shed, Gabby, and
They had a storage locker.
Brian, do you know where it was?
I have no idea.
Do you know if what date your brother flew back that your dad paid for the plane?
Didn't even know he paid for the plane.
Did he fly back?
Yes,
From
he flew back.
like around like what, the 17th or something?
Put it into their house.
Around like the 17th or something,
Yeah,
after the fight.
He got here on the 17th. I don't know what day he left.
Did you see him on that trip?
Yes.
What was discussed? Anything? Was he discussed about?
They were talking. He was telling me where they were going next. I FaceTimed with Gabby and the kids on that trip. I mean,
Did he say he got in a fight with Gabby? He didn't talk about that incident?
Just was a surprise to us, too.
yeah. We're unfortunately in the dark as much as everybody else.
So, Brian, this takes us all the way back to allegedly August 17th, when they say Brian Laundrie flew back home to Florida. His sister saw him. That is information that we had not until tonight been able to corroborate if it is in fact true.
Yeah, these are sort of rumblings. A lot of this stuff that Cassie is saying are rumblings that we've been hearing about, that people on Twitter are constantly direct messaging me about, that we just haven't been able to confirm because the FBI has been so tight-lipped, and obviously no one from the family will ever talk to us. So it's very interesting to hear Cassie now confirming some of these tidbits. And also, I mean, she just said that her own family attorney, the words were, she feels thrown under the bus. So based on everything we're hearing, it sounds like there is some major infighting within the Laundrie family. The parents in the house behind me, who haven't come out in days now, clearly not on the same page as their daughter Cassie, who lives about 45 minutes from here.
And Cassie is saying, I am not talking to my parents. I've lost my brother, my parents. The FBI has told us not to talk. And if you're just joining us, the reason she and her husband came out is they wanted these protesters off of their lawn. Their kids are inside. It was for their own protection. And then for 20 minutes, she continued to answer questions about her brother, about the case, about what she knew. Another interesting thing that we learned from Cassie this afternoon, Brian, was that the couple had a storage locker that they shared. Cassie says she doesn't know where that is. We now have that clip when Cassie is asked, did Brian kill Gabby? Let's listen.
My parents' lawyer really screwed me over by saying that he just
Well, I
stopped
saw
by.
the comment that
he
he
did
made.
not just stop by on the way home, and I was livid, and I'm not speaking to anybody.
Yeah.
Do you think Brian killed Gabby?
I don't know. Silence was not guilt. Silence was
Well,
the
nobody
FBI
came here
telling us
until
not
the
to.
lie.
One,
The sooner
this
he's found,
sucks for
the
us.
sooner
Yeah.
this is over for us.
Yes.
The sooner he is found, the sooner it is over for us. And just to go through what they just said there, Brian, she said, my parents' lawyer screwed me over. I'm livid and I'm not talking to him. Did Brian kill Gabby? I don't know. And silence is not guilt. The FBI has told us not to talk. Surprising that she did.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it totally caught me off guard tonight. I've been to Cassie's house several times, knocked on the door. We've put in requests to talk to her, and she hasn't talked to the media since that one interview very, very early on. And I think she must have just gotten fed up with these protesters. The neighbors were clearly fed up, and her husband just decided to come right out. And again, I just want to reiterate for people who are listening to this and maybe didn't catch the beginning. I mean, the person asking these questions, the man and the woman, these are protesters. These aren't reporters. These are protesters who are just out there protesting. She comes out and they started sort of getting the opportunity to ask these questions.
Mm-hmm. And all this happening, Brian, as the search for Brian Laundrie continues. I want to talk to you about your report today. You were in the middle of putting a piece together for tonight about a possible sighting in the Appalachian Trail. What can you tell us about where the search stands tonight and what we've learned?
So still no confirmed sightings of Brian Laundrie tonight, Marnie, but what we have been looking into is this report from a hiker along the Appalachian Trail right on the border of Tennessee and North Carolina. He says that he was hiking over the weekend, early Saturday morning, when he says he saw someone who he believes is Brian Laundrie in a white pickup truck. He says he's been following the case. He knows what Brian Laundrie looks like. I talked to this guy. He's an engineer. He says he's detail-oriented. He says he is 99% sure that he saw Brian Laundrie. I spoke with him on the phone. His name's Dennis. This is what he told me. Okay, so basically what he told me was that that he was, again, 99% sure that it was him, that he's been in touch with the FBI, and that he actually plans to meet with the FBI either tomorrow or on Wednesday.
Brian, are they still searching the reserve? What's the status of that tonight?
So the reserve search is ongoing. The swamp, which is just a couple of miles from where we are, but it's scaled down massively. Today, we had a chopper up looking from the sky because that's really the only way to keep an eye on things there. And there was one airboat we spotted with a canine and a search crew on the airboat. So not as big a search as we saw last week when there were literally hundreds of people out there searching.
How about the scene outside the parents tonight and throughout the day? Has that changed?
It's been quiet out here. You know, they haven't come out all day long. They got one package delivery. The dad went to the screen door and quickly took it in. But they haven't been out of their house in days. And all I can wonder right now is what they must be thinking now that their daughter Cassie has come out and basically, you know, just spilled all these details about obviously stuff that they didn't want out.
Another new twist. Surely they've got a lot of things to think about inside that house tonight. Brian Entin, thank you for bearing with us as we walked through that video. This is not the last. We're going to be playing it, and you're going to be hearing it. And as always, thanks for your reporting. We'll be checking back in with you shortly. Brian Entin live in Northport, outside the Laundrie home tonight.